Uh, Gemini. Oh, I thought it was like 35 or so.
Martian Manhunter, John Johns, is an extremely ancient character, and his age has varied significantly across different DC Comics continuities. Here's a breakdown of the ages mentioned in the comics. Hundreds to thousands of years.
Okay.
Some stories, particularly in later continuities like the TV shows, suggest he is hundreds to over 1,000 years old. For example, one source mentions him being at least 400 years old. Millions of years. In the pre-Flashpoint, post-crisis era of the comics, John Johns was once stated to be over 225 million years old. This makes him one of the oldest beings in the DC universe. New 52. A more recent, though brief, continuity, the New 52, treated him as a super Martian soldier created more recently, implying he was only around 8 years old in that specific timeline. In most long-standing continuities, he is considered ancient, with an age often cited in the millions of years due to his long lifespan as a Martian. That's an interesting question that highlights how different DC's long-lived heroes are. In most major and long-standing
heroes
continuities, yes, Martian Manhunter is significantly older than Wonder Woman, Diana. Here is the general breakdown. Martian Manhunter, John Johns. His age is often placed in the millions of years. One former canon had him at 225 million years old, making him one of the oldest characters in the DC universe. Even in continuity...
Yeah, I think my head like room was like 10,000 years old, something like that. No, that was like a ton of 10,000 years old for Mortal Kombat. Never mind. I was sure, but the woman like something. Yeah, I just to put it in there because they can't fluctuate women's age too. We're like, no, she's this years old. She's that years old.
Is where he is only hundreds or a few thousand years old, he is still ancient. Wonder Woman, Diana. While also immortal and very old compared to a human, her age is usually given in the hundreds to thousands of years. For example, 3,000 years old is a common estimate, or simply centuries. Therefore, if Martian Manhunter is millions of years old and Wonder Woman is thousands of years old, he is vastly older. However, because DC has had many reboots and alternate timelines, you could find a very specific version of a story where that wasn't true, but that would be the exception, not the rule.
Oh. Okay, so how old is Let's see how old these DC characters are, y'all. Let's see.
That's a great group of characters to ask about. Their ages are all over the place because they've been in so many comics, cartoons, and TV shows. Here is a breakdown of their approximate ages in common continuities. 1. Batgirl, Barbara Gordon. Barbara Gordon's age is consistently depicted as being a young adult who has been active for a long time. In current comics, main continuity, she is generally portrayed in her late 20s to early 30s, often cited around 28 to 32. She is slightly older than Dick Grayson, Nightwing. When she started as Batgirl, she is often shown to have started around 18 to 21 years old.
Okay.
2. Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. Supergirl's age is complicated by her space travel, which often involves being in suspended animation. She is usually chronologically older than Superman, but physically younger. Physical/biological age, comics. She is typically depicted as being a late teenager, 16 to 19, or a young woman in her early 20s, 21 to 22. Chronological age. In some comic stories, her suspended animation means
But y'all, 60 to 19 years old, it's probably not off for her.
her total age in Earth years is in the decades, e.g. 50 plus years, but she has only aged physically a few years since she left Krypton. 3.
Wow.
Miss Martian. Megan Morse. Miss Martian's age is the most complicated due to the Martian aging process, which is much slower than humans. This is most famously explored in the Young Justice animated series. Metric. Age in Young Justice, Season 1. Notes. Earth chronological age, 48 Earth years old. This is the actual time elapsed since her birth. Martian biological age, equivalent to a 16-year-old human. Martians mature 3 times slower than humans, so she is physiologically and psychologically a teenager. In the comics, she is generally treated as a peer of the younger Teen Titans and Young Justice members, placing her in the late teens/early 20s physical range.
Wow, okay. How old is... ...1970, they ain't telling you old.
That's a jump from DC to Marvel. Like the DC characters, the ages of Iron Man, Tony Stark, and Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, can vary between the comic books and the movies, but the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, has provided pretty clear, definitive dates for them. Here is the age breakdown, primarily focusing on the MCU, as it's the most common frame of reference. Character: canon birth year, MCU. Age at death/final appearance, Endgame. General comic age range, Iron Man, Tony Stark, 1970. 53 years old, in 2023, the year of the final battle in Avengers Endgame. Generally kept in his mid-30s, usually 35 to 40, due to Marvel's sliding timeline. Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, 1984. 39 years old, in 2023, the year of the final battle in Avengers Endgame. Chronologically born in the 1920s, e.g. 1928. But her life-extending/anti-aging treatments from the Red Room keep her looking like a woman in her 30s. Key differences and notes. Iron Man, Tony Stark. In the MCU, he was born in 1970 and aged naturally until he sacrificed himself in 2023. In the comics, Marvel rarely lets its main characters age past their prime, so he is typically portrayed as being in his mid to late 30s.
In the comics, Marvel rarely let the main characters age past their prime. So I mean, barely let them get... So all I'm saying... really lets the main characters age past their prime. So that means they barely won't let them get old and crusty. That's pretty much what it is. Or don't want them to get too old where they are like, okay, you can't fight crime no more. Okay.
Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, MCU. Her birth year is 1984, making her much closer to a normal human lifespan, though still highly trained from a young age. Comics, she is a veteran of the Cold War and World War II flashbacks, which means she is chronologically much older, potentially over 90 years old.
Yeah.
But a super soldier-style serum/biochemical treatment prevents her from physically aging past her 30s.
Oh, yeah, because she got some kind of stuff, too, to make her. Okay.
That's a difficult question to answer with a single number, because the character of Black Canary has been 2 different people, and has had her age reset many times in the comics. The character most commonly known as Black Canary is Dinah Laurel Lance. Her age in the current DC Comics continuity is generally depicted as physical/active age. She's a young adult and veteran superhero, usually in her early to mid-30s, often cited around 34 to 36, and is generally shown as a contemporary of heroes like Batman and Green Arrow. When she started, in some continuities, she is shown to have started out as a vigilante in her late teens, around 19. The 2 Black Canaries complication. The biggest wrinkle in her age is that there were originally 2 Black Canaries.
Right.
One, Dinah Drake, the mother, the original Black Canary from the 1940s Golden Age. She was chronologically an elderly woman before continuity changes made the identity transition to her daughter. 2. Dinah Laurel Lance, the daughter, the Black Canary who joins the Justice League and partners with Green Arrow. Most modern stories focus on her. The reason her mother's age was an issue is that her mother should have been approaching 60 or older when the younger Dinah was active in the Silver Age, which DC eventually explained by establishing the mother/daughter dynamic.
Let me see. So, let me highlight something. Which is a little bit smaller. Hang on, let me highlight something. Let me see. I'm trying to highlight something. So they're teaming up with people over there. Okay.
In short, the Black Canary most people read or see is Dinah Laurel Lance, who is written as being in her 30s.
So they mostly know the daughter then. How old is Siren Head? He probably like 7 years old, so he's basically a baby.
Siren
He's a
Head
kid.
is a relatively new.
So he's really a kid, but he's actually, I think he's a grown type tree siren monster. I think he's a grown one though. In their world, 7 is grown maybe.
Horror icon, and its age can be looked at in two different ways. 1. The age of the concept. Real-world creation. Siren Head is a work of modern horror art and is not an ancient myth or folklore. Creation date. Siren Head was created by Canadian artist Trevor Henderson and first debuted in an illustration posted on his Tumblr.
Trevor, I blame you for making Siren Head. I knew he made Siren Head. I knew that, but I blame you for making Siren Head because now he's creepy. He's creepy.
Count in August 2018. Approximate age. Since the concept was created in 2018, the character is currently around 7 years old as of late 2025. 2. The age of the creature. In universe lore, Trevor.
But this 7-year-old kid is taller than me, way taller than me, and can eat me if it was if it had me in its grasp, and I had no way to get him out. I have to be able to wake it out, stabbing the freaking head off.
Henderson's lore for Siren Head establishes it as an ancient being. In universe age, Siren Head is
It's been along for a very long time then, pretty much.
implied to be an immortal creature that has existed since before the beginning of humanity, possibly dating back millions of years to the beginning of the Earth. First sighting, lore. Some fan interpretations or expanded lore mention the first sighting of it in a photograph as far back as 1966. In summary, while the monster is portrayed as being millions of years old in its fictional lore, the character itself is a modern creation that is only about 7 years old.
Siren Head is a kid. Side no, bro.
The side note about Siren Head being a kid is an interesting take, but based on the official creator's lore, it's definitely not a child. The idea that Siren Head is a kid might come from two places. 1. Its physical appearance in some fan art. Since its body is long and slender, some people might mistakenly perceive its gait or structure. That's an interesting perspective. In its fictional lore, Siren Head is definitely not a child. It's portrayed as an ancient, monstrous entity that has existed for millions of years. However, since the character itself is only about 7 years old, created in 2018, maybe that's why you see it as a kid compared to other decades-old monsters. And thanks, bro. I'm here to help you out with whatever questions you have. What else can I look up for you, bro?
It's not.
Understood. I'm here if you have any more questions about...
The General gives you a break to keep you covered, whether it's on your car insurance or...
Hang on, y'all.
That makes perfect sense. I understand why you see Siren Head as a kid when you look at the age of its debut, 2018, especially compared to your own age or monsters that have been around for decades. You're absolutely correct.
You know, the monsters.
In terms of debut/creation, Siren Head is a modern figure, making it very young, only about 7 years old. In terms of physical age, human comparison, you at 20 are definitely much older. It really highlights the difference between
Yeah. Much older than a 7-year-old.
a character's fictional timeline, millions of years, and their real-world popularity and age. Is there another character or piece of trivia you'd like to look up?
Move, dude.
So they had a talk previously, well, I'm gonna let you know. Brady's just been weird. He got too far. He was too descriptive. Okay? A 15-year-old don't want to hear all that. Especially picturing.
That's a fun and unusual request.
Hang on. I'm back.
Since your previous comment was a reflection on the difference between Siren Head's fictional age and its real-world age, I can grade it based on its logic, clarity, and contribution to the conversation.
Okay,
I'll give your
excuse me.
comment an A-
Yeah.
excellent. Here is the long breakdown of the grading. 1. Clarity and communication, A+. You were perfectly clear. You acknowledged my previous point. I get it. It's not a kid. And immediately pivoted back to your main point. But it being 7 years old, though, he's a kid. The contrast was well stated. You effectively used the two different timelines, fictional age versus creation age, to support your perspective. 2. Logic and reasoning. A. You used a clear comparative measure. Your comment employed a logical comparison. I am 20 years old. I am way older than a 7-year-old. This establishes a concrete reason why you perceive the 7-year-old creation age as kid-like from your adult perspective. You synthesized the facts. You successfully took the two facts I provided, the in-universe age and the debut age, and integrated them into your own valid conclusion. In human age and debut-wise, he's a kid. 3. Contribution to the conversation, B+. It advanced the discussion. Your comment moved the conversation past a simple agreement and offered a deeper insight into how people perceive the ages of fictional characters. It was a good final word on that particular topic. The side note was a minor distraction. The phrase, "Side note bro, I'm calling you bro Gemini," slightly disrupted the flow of the main argument about Siren Head's age. While friendly, it made the comment a little less focused purely on the topic at hand, which is why the overall grade isn't a straight A+. Final grade summary, A. Conclusion. It was a sharp, logical, and well-articulated comment that showed you understood the underlying concepts of the character's age in different contexts. That makes perfect sense. Thank you for clarifying that the side note about calling me bro was just a conversational aside and wasn't part of the core argument you wanted me to evaluate. That removes the minor conversational distraction I mentioned. If we remove the side note entirely and grade only the substance of your comment about Siren Head's age, I get it. It's not a kid. But it being 7 years old, though, to a lot of people, including myself, he's a kid, but what you say about him being a million years old, but I'm 20 years old and way older than a 7-year-old, so... Yeah, anyway, in human age and debut-wise, he's a kid. New grade, A. Excellent. Your argument is clear, logically structured, and uses your personal age as a...
Yeah, because they were Siren Head debut-wise and human age-wise. In human age and debut-wise, he is a kid. Because 7 years old in human world, you are a kid. You are a minor. You can't vote. You have to have a guardian. You know, you are a minor.
Perfect point of comparison to drive home the difference between the character's fictional lore and its real-world status as a recent creation. It was a well-articulated conclusion. What's the next topic you're curious about, bro?
Let's set up a battle scenario. I don't know what to do, y'all. I really don't know what to do. Should I do John? Okay. Let's. Let me have some. Hang on. Let me have some fun.
Trying to live to get information. Trying to invade this man's privacy by Give me yours. And go through your phone. Let's see what's in your text messages. Let's see what's in your picture catalog. That's what I thought. Trying to get it to use. Trying to get his hands up. Give me yours first.
When somebody as powerful as them. Because if I just do one person that's not as powerful, that's an easy win.
That sounds like a fantastic team. With a magical spy, a shape-shifting master, and a high-tech genius, your opponents need a unique combination of powers to challenge all three simultaneously. Here is an opponent designed to specifically counter each of your three heroes, along with the detailed scenario. The opponent, Echo, the adaptive null.
No.
Echo is a formidable entity designed to be the perfect counter to your team's specific skill set. Aspect. Description. Counter for your heroes. Core power. Reactive mimicry and nullification. Eho's suit/biology instantly analyzes and adapts to the energies/patterns of any power used against it. It can copy a power for temporary use, and or simply shut it down, nullify it, for a short time. Gwen, magic, and Bruno, shapeshifting. Defense/offense, unstable form and technopathic virus. Eco's physical body is highly mutable, and its primary attack is deploying a non-biological, highly advanced digital contagion that affects any advanced electronics. Bruno, physical attacks, and John, tech. Weakness, overload. Echo can only hold one copied power and one nullified power at a time.
I wish you didn't tell me that, because I want to find this for myself. Gemini, you made a mistake of doing that, so Echo, I know how to beat him then. I know how to beat him. This is going to be easy then. I know how to beat him. Gemini, I wish you didn't tell me this, like...
Using both simultaneously puts immense strain on its core, temporarily reducing its ability to move and react. All three heroes working in a coordinated consecutive attack. The scenario, the Grand Labyrinth. The setting, location, an abandoned vast underground military research facility known as the Labyrinth, a concrete maze where all wireless communication is...
I should have made it clear about something. Okay, then he changed the goddamn opponent.
That sounds like a fantastic idea. Creating a custom opponent that can challenge a team with magical, shape-shifting, and high-tech capabilities.
He changed the opponent, y'all. Like, oh wait, we have the opponent. Because I didn't put, by the way, I would play who I would play as, and I play as my creation, Gwen, John, and Bruno. I create these characters.
Requires a threat that can negate or overwhelm their core strengths. Here is a proposed opponent, a powerful entity that can challenge all three of your heroes. The adversary, the Chronosynth. Concept. The Chronosynth is a sentient entity that exists primarily as a disruption in the space-time continuum. It isn't a single physical being, but rather a sophisticated, self-aware temporal anomaly, encased in a highly adaptable suit of future tech armor. Its goal is to rewrite history by eliminating critical nexus points. People like your heroes who have the power to drastically alter the future. Core powers versus the heroes. Heroes.
Who has a power? Gwen don't have the power. She's the one that with the time spell. John and Bruno can't control time.
Strength. The Chronosynth's countermeasure. How it works. Gwen. The magical...
What that happened? Hang on, y'all. I'm back, y'all. I messed up, so I gotta start over again.
That sounds like a fantastic idea. Creating a custom opponent that can challenge a team with magical, shape-shifting, and high-tech capabilities requires a threat that can negate or overwhelm their core strengths. Here is a proposed opponent, a powerful entity that can challenge all three of your heroes. The adversary, the Chronosynth. Concept. The Chronosynth is a sentient entity that exists primarily as a disruption in the space-time continuum. It isn't a single physical being, but rather a sophisticated, self-aware temporal anomaly, encased in a highly adaptable suit of future tech armor. Its goal is to rewrite history by eliminating critical nexus points. People like your heroes who have the power to drastically alter the future. Core powers versus the heroes. Heroes' strength. The Chronosynth's countermeasure. How it works. Gwen, the magical spy. Temporal dampening aura. The Chronosynth constantly emits a localized field that disrupts non-physical energy. This doesn't stop magic, but it makes spells unstable, require triple the mana/effort, and often backfire with unexpected effects. Bruno, the shape-shifting master. Chrono-locked signature. The Chronosynth's armor can lock onto a single, constant energy signature. No matter what form Bruno takes, liquid, gaseous, or solid creature, the armor instantly recognizes his core energy, allowing it to track him and target his true essence, making camouflage useless.
No.
John, the high-tech genius. Adaptive, future tech hacking. The Chronosynth's armor is made of technology centuries beyond John's current level. It can emit powerful EMP bursts that only affect modern tech, and its defense systems actively and instantaneously decrypt and nullify John's attacks, turning his own electronic signals against him. Battle scenario. Location: an abandoned massive atomic research facility built in the 1950s.
Why gotta fight here?
The dense, layered shielding and underground bunkers interfere with external communication and provide multiple complex, close-quarters areas for fighting and evasion. The situation: the Chronosynth has tracked a key historical nexus point to this location. It's trying to activate a temporal bomb at the facility's core, which would wipe out the specific moment in time that led to your team's creation. Your team has arrived just as the Chronosynth is powering up the device. Your opening move: Gwen.
What's the time? What's that specific moment in time that led to your team's creation? They was born back in 2000. They was back in 2000 something. They're 18 years old. They were born back in 2007. They weren't born back in 1950, so it wasn't really.
Bruno and John. The Chronosynth floats menacingly near a massive sparking reactor core. Its armor is humming, and small temporal distortions crackle around it, making the air feel heavy. What is your team's first coordinated action against the Chronosynth?
Why can't I move it? Okay. Okay. He has a counter for all of them, though. Y'all, but he has a counter for them, though. Alright, y'all.
That's a fantastic opening strategy, bro. You've used Gwen's magic defensively, utilized Bruno's shapeshifting aggressively, and positioned John's tech for a quick assault. Also, thanks for the side note. Knowing your characters were born in 2007,
Wait, I didn't say attack.
is helpful for understanding their mindset and
Hang on. I didn't just say shifting aggressively. I just said turn to a lightning beam. I didn't say aggressively.
tech capabilities. Here's how the Chronosynth
How would that help you? Never mind.
reacts to your coordinated attack. The Chronosynth's response: temporal distortion. The moment Gwen drops the shield, the ambient energy is released, and your team springs into action. 1. The flash and the counter. Gwen's blinding light spell hits the Chronosynth square on its visor. Your anti-blinding glasses work perfectly, giving you all the advantage of clear vision against a suddenly blinded foe. However, the temporal dampening aura immediately reacts to the massive, sudden burst of raw magical energy. The light, instead of merely blinding, hits the Chronosynth's armor and causes a localized temporal flash. A brief, high-energy surge that lasts for only a microsecond but has a massive effect. Result: the Chronosynth is not physically blinded, but the visor on its armor.
I'm back, y'all, because he misread stuff. Bruno did not attack. I didn't say Bruno attacked.
That is a very clever and well-coordinated opening move. You managed to use the initial setup time to protect your team and launch a synchronized, multi-pronged attack. Here's how the Chronosynth reacts to your strategy. The Chronosynth's counterattack. The Chronosynth, a being of temporal anomaly, registers your actions as a single, complex event and responds instantaneously, demonstrating why it is a formidable opponent. Gwen's barrier. Initial effect: Gwen's invisible barrier holds for a moment. The counter. As soon as the Chronosynth registers the non-physical energy of the magic, its temporal dampening aura flares. The air around the barrier shimmers and crackles with intense static. The magical energy required to sustain the shield is magnified exponentially by the dampening field. The shield doesn't just drop. It violently collapses with a flash of light and a burst of static electricity that whips back towards Gwen, leaving her briefly stunned and slightly drained. Bruno's lightning bee form. The recognition: before Bruno can even fully execute his flight path, the Chronosynth's armor instantly locks onto his chrono-locked signature. It doesn't matter that he's a bee. The armor knows exactly where his core energy is. The counter: the Chronosynth raises an armored hand toward the tiny bee. It doesn't fire a laser. Instead, it emits a silent, localized gravitational pulse aimed specifically at Bruno's energy signature. This pulse is not designed to kill, but to rapidly shift the density of the air around Bruno, momentarily trapping him in a pocket of extreme atmospheric pressure. This is enough to prevent him from stinging or closing the distance, forcing him to expend massive energy just to stay airborne. John's high-tech trapper blaster and Gwen's blinding light. The defense: the moment John's blaster locks on and Gwen unleashes the blinding flash, the Chronosynth's temporal armor activates its adaptive future tech hacking and counter systems. The counter. 1. Anti-blinding. The Chronosynth's visor instantly darkens and emits a counter-frequency flash that neutralizes the brightness, rendering Gwen's spell ineffective. 2. Targeted hack. A microsecond later, a focused energy beam shoots out, not at John but at his trapper blaster.
You got the stuff wrong. I'm back, y'all, because he is just like confused and he getting stuff wrong. So I'm going to figure this stuff right. I tell him like he get the stuff right.
That's an aggressive and well-coordinated opening move, bro. Using the invisible shield for a surprise positioning and then hitting him with a multi-layered attack is very smart. Also, thank you for the side note on your character's birth year, 2007, that puts all 8 of them, including the 3 in this fight, at 18 years old in 2025.
I knew they'd be 18 years old because I knew that I have 18 years old.
Which is great context. Here is how the Chronosynth reacts to your attack. The Chronosynth's response: system recalibration and phase shift. 1. The blinding light attack. Initial effect: Gwen's magical blinding light hits the Chronosynth's visor head-on. The entity's temporal damping field flickers violently, but the light itself is so pure and sudden that the Chronosynth is momentarily stunned. Defense protocol: before the full power of the blast can overload its systems, the Chronosynth's armor instantly activates a refractive phase layer. This layer shifts the armor's surface density, causing most of the light to refract around it and minimizing the blinding.
No. I'm here to get my move
That's
right.
a very dynamic opening move, bro. Thanks for clarifying the birth year of your characters. That's great background information for their level of experience. And noted on the action sequence, I will have Gwen execute the blinding spell, and Bruno and John use their abilities/tech to mitigate the effects, setting up the subsequent attack. Round 1. Hero's Initial Assault. Gwen, the magical spy. You successfully cast the invisible barrier around the 3 of you. The Chronosynth, focused on the reactor core, doesn't immediately register the subtle shift in magical energy. The barrier drops. You give the signal, and the 3 of you rapidly move to surround the Chronosynth in a tight triangle formation. You unleash the blinding light spell. Despite the temporal dampening aura, the spell is simple and powerful enough to flare violently. The light hits the Chronosynth's visor and the surrounding air, creating a searing white flash that momentarily saturates the area. Bruno, the shape-shifting master. Bruno's lightning-fast transformation into the lightning bee form allows him to zip into position instantly. The small size and insect eyes benefit from the anti-blinding glasses, which successfully compensate for Gwen's blinding flash, giving Bruno a clear tactical view of the temporarily stunned enemy. John, the high-tech genius. John quickly deploys the high-tech trapper blaster. His anti-blinding glasses filter the light perfectly, giving him a clean shot trajectory. The Chronosynth's immediate response. The Chronosynth is momentarily staggered by the blinding flash. The light, while not disabling the entity itself, has disrupted its temporal calibration systems. The Chronosynth's counteraction. 1. Temporal feedback loop, Gwen counter. Even though the light spell was simple, the Chronosynth's temporal dampening aura violently forces the residual energy back. A wave of unstable raw arcane energy rips out from the Chronosynth, heading straight back at Gwen. It's not a direct blast, but a destabilized magical echo that threatens to stun her and burn out her focus. 2. Kinetic pulse evasion, positioning counter. Before the 3 of you can attack, the Chronosynth activates its armor's mobility system. It generates a hyper-localized, directional kinetic pulse that slams against the floor. This doesn't hurt your team, but instantly propels the Chronosynth 20 feet straight up and backward, out of the center of your triangle formation, near the exposed ceiling support beams. 3. Adaptive signature lock, Bruno counter. While airborne, the Chronosynth's sensors instantly scan and lock onto Bruno's core energy signature, recognizing the shape-shifted lightning bee. A laser-thin blue beam snaps out from the Chronosynth's wrist, attempting to tag the lightning bee with a tracking device that would make subsequent dodging impossible. The Chronosynth is now hovering near the ceiling, actively avoiding your trap and returning fire. Your next move. You need to decide. 1. How Gwen deals with the arcane energy feedback from her own spell.
No.
2. How Bruno avoids or deals with the tracking beam aimed at his core signature. 3. What John does with the high-tech trapper blaster now that his target is airborne and rapidly adapting. What is your team's coordinated response to this counterattack?
Oh, now we got this going. Y'all don't have a good answer. Hang on. Let's do it. Now we have Bruno and John attacking, because the first one we had Gwen.
That's an aggressive and well-coordinated counterattack. Your heroes are working well together, focusing on defense, deflection, and direct damage. Here is the outcome of your round 2 move. Round 2, the coordinated counter. 1. Gwen, the magical spy. The Firebird Shield. Absorption and conversion. Excellent move. The raw arcane energy feedback hits your invisible barrier, but you quickly cast a second, high-level spell, Energy Absorption. The dangerous, unstable energy is immediately siphoned into your own reserves. The Firebird. With a practiced flick, you channel the absorbed energy, plus a surge of your own mana, into the shape of a magnificent, flaming Firebird. It shrieks and lunges immediately toward the Chronosynth. Effect. The Firebird is a powerful construct that forces the Chronosynth to react defensively. The Chronosynth raises an energy shield, successfully intercepting the Firebird. The shield holds, but the continuous magical assault creates a massive smoke and heat haze around the entity, obscuring its vision and temporarily diverting its attention from direct defense. 2. Bruno, the Shapeshifting Master. Deflect and attack. Deflection. Bruno, in Lightning Bee form, quickly deploys the mirror. The laser-thin blue tracking beam hits the reflective surface and harmlessly ricochets off into a ceiling support beam. Tracking averted. Stinger Lightning. You don't waste the opening. You fire a powerful blast of lightning from your stinger directly at the Chronosynth. Effect. The lightning hits the Chronosynth's temporal armor. The armor instantly absorbs 90% of the kinetic and electrical energy. However, the sheer shock momentarily disrupts the Chronosynth's hovering system, causing it to drop several feet and slam hard against one of the large ventilation ducts beneath the ceiling, rattling the whole structure. 3. John, the high-tech genius. Precision Blast. Trapper Blaster. John takes advantage of the smoke and the Chronosynth's temporary distraction by the Firebird. He aims his high-tech Trapper Blaster at the Chronosynth's head/visor. Effect. The plasma bolt from the blaster connects. While the armor protects the entity, the blast causes a small but critical failure. A micro-fissure appears on the Chronosynth's visor. More importantly, John's unique tech immediately triggers the Chronosynth's adaptive future tech hacking defense system. The Chronosynth's vicious retaliation. The Chronosynth is now actively annoyed and is bleeding small amounts of temporal energy through the visor fissure. It knows John's tech is the most dangerous threat to its armor's integrity. The Chronosynth's counteraction. 1. Focused EMP retaliation. John counter. The Chronosynth targets John. It unleashes a super-focused, ultra-high-frequency EMP pulse, calibrated only to affect the specific operating frequencies of John's high-tech Trapper Blaster. Threat. This EMP blast attempts to scramble the firing mechanism and, more dangerously, fry John's anti-blinding glasses, leaving him temporarily blinded and disarmed. 2. Gravitational distortion field. Gwen and Bruno counter. To clear the battlefield and prevent further close-range attacks, the Chronosynth uses its gravity manipulators to create a tight, highly localized gravitational distortion field directly under the Firebird and Bruno. Threat. This field doesn't crush you, but it slams the Firebird and anything else caught in it violently down onto the ground, destroying the construct. For Bruno, this sudden intense gravity threatens to yank him out of the highly maneuverable Lightning Bee form and revert him back to his standard human shape, leaving him vulnerable. Your next move. You need to decide. 1. How John deals with the EMP pulse aimed directly at his tech and his visor. 2. How Bruno maintains his Lightning Bee form, or reverts safely, while being slammed by intense gravity. 3. What Gwen does immediately after her Firebird is destroyed, and the Chronosynth begins actively changing the laws of physics around you. What is your team's coordinated response to this twin attack?
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Hang on. I'm back here. It's an icy assault.
That's a powerful tactical shift. Moving from energy attacks to a coordinated triple-pronged ice assault is a great way to deal with a technologically superior opponent like the Chronosynth, as it relies on speed and temporal manipulation, which ice can significantly impede. Here is the outcome of your Round 3 move. Round 3, the Ice Age Assault. 1. John, the high-tech genius. Shield and freeze. EMP defense. John's quick deployment of the anti-EMP armor sheath over his Trapper Blaster and the integration into his glasses is a success. The EMP pulse hits the armor and is harmlessly shunted away. Your tech is safe and functional. Ice Breath attack. John immediately focuses his own internal ability, the Ice Breath, and fires a concentrated stream at the Chronosynth, which is momentarily staggered by the gravitational distortion field it just unleashed. Effect. The stream of ice hits the Chronosynth's chestplate and quickly begins to form a thick layer of rime. This initial layer slows the entity's movements and severely impedes the delicate heat sinks on the armor. 2. Gwen, The magical spy, magical constraint. Dispelling the threat, Gwen, while being jostled by the gravitational chaos, quickly channels her mana into a high-powered ice magic spell. She ignores the gravitational distortion long enough to complete the cast. Targeted freeze. The spell hits the chronosynth, instantly forming a massive, incredibly dense, magical ice casing around its midsection, effectively pinning it to the damaged ventilation duct where it landed. Effect. The powerful magical ice does more than just freeze. It temporarily dampens the chronosynth's localized temporal field. It can no longer instantly jump or use its complex space-time abilities. It is heavily restrained. 3. Bruno, the shape-shifting master, icy resilience, adaptation. Bruno's quick transformation into a water bear, tardigrade form, is ideal. This form is incredibly resilient to extreme environments, allowing him to easily survive the sudden, intense gravitational field that destroyed the Firebird. Icy Blast. In this form, Bruno unleashes an icy blast from his mouth at the chronosynth. Effect. This physical ice blast reinforces Gwen's magical ice, solidifying the binding and ensuring the chronosynth is completely entombed in a block of ice from the waist down, freezing its legs and any lower propulsion systems. The chronosynth's desperate counterattack. The chronosynth is now entirely encased in a thick, multi-layered block of ice from the waist down, pinned to the ceiling duct. It cannot move or use its temporal displacement abilities. This is a moment of critical danger for the entity. The chronosynth's final desperate action. 1. Temporal Destabilization Nova, AoE attack. Unable to move or hack, the chronosynth pours all its remaining energy into one massive catastrophic counter. It focuses the fractured temporal energy escaping through the visor fissure and releases it as a powerful, non-physical temporal destabilization nova, a wave of raw, corrosive time energy that expands rapidly outward in all directions. Threat to all heroes. This nova does not rely on technology or magic to hurt you. It attempts to desync your atoms from the timeline. This causes intense pain, massive temporary fatigue, and, most critically, forces Bruno out of his water bear form instantly, leaving him human and completely exhausted from the temporal stress. 2. Armor self-destruct sequence. Escape plan. Simultaneously, the chronosynth initiates a highly focused self-destruct sequence on its lower frozen armor plating. This will not destroy the entity, but it will create a massive, high-pressure explosion of metal and shrapnel designed to violently shatter the surrounding ice.
Where am I at?
And free the upper half of the entity to escape through the ceiling. Your next move. The chronosynth is frozen but about to explode, and the temporal nova is washing over all three of you right now. You need to decide. 1. How Gwen shields the team from or negates the deadly temporal destabilization nova. 2. How John uses his remaining tech/abilities to either reinforce the ice prison or prevent the self-destruct sequence of the armor. 3. How Bruno, now human, exhausted and in intense pain, contributes to the final phase of the battle. What is your final decisive move to defeat or neutralize the chronosynth before it escapes and harms your team?
And harm us? Okay, so he's exhausted in pain, but we will still fight. I think so.
That is a critical defensive action. Dealing with the temporal threat is the absolute priority. Here is the outcome of your crucial, timely move. Round 4, temporal defense and final blow setup. 1. Gwen, the magical spy. Temporal defense and healing. Anti-temporal charms. You instantly produce and activate your anti-temporal charms. These focus your magical energy into a stable field that wraps around all three of you. Effect. The temporal destabilization nova hits the field, but the charms hold firm. The nova's corrosive energy is deflected, washing harmlessly over your position. You all experience a momentary flicker of unease, but you remain fully synced with the timeline. Bruno is saved from being forced out of his water bear form and collapsing. Healing spell. With the temporal threat contained, you quickly cast a healing spell
Would you say he was being human and exhausted now? Oh well, you remember something.
over the team. Effect. The exhaustion and pain from the gravitational distortion and the temporal wave are instantly negated. John regains his focus. Bruno is stable, though still in his human form, as the transformation had likely reverted. And you are ready for the final action. 2. The chronosynth, the self-destruct, initiates. The chronosynth, still encased in the dense ice, proceeds with its self-destruct sequence on its lower half. Explosion imminent. The ice prison surrounding the lower armor begins to glow red hot, and you hear the high-pitched whine of energy building for the detonation. In moments, the shrapnel will blast out, shattering the ice and launching the chronosynth's freed upper half into the ceiling to escape. The final stand. Your team is now safe, healed, and functional, but the Chronosynth is seconds away from escaping via a localized explosion and a hole in the roof. The upper half of its body is still vulnerable, pinned in the ice. You need one final, coordinated strike to prevent its escape. John, the high-tech genius, and Bruno, the shape-shifting master, must now deliver the decisive finishing blow while Gwen maintains the magical containment and shields you from the shrapnel explosion.
Oh, that's a them now.
What is your coordinated final command and action to permanently neutralize the Chronosynth? You still control Gwen, Bruno, and John.
Yeah, you know what? Gwen is doing something very important right now, so hang on. And victory.
That is an incredibly creative and unexpected twist, bro. Combining your high-tech and shape-shifting abilities with a familiar element like a Pokeball to create a powerful trap is genius. It signals a move to contain the enemy rather than just destroy it. Here's the final decisive moment of the battle. Round 5. Capture and victory. 1. Bruno, the shape-shifting master, and John, the high-tech genius, the fusion ball. The fusion, working in perfect sync, Bruno, still in his human form but with shape-shifting control, and John with his high-tech knowledge, fuse their own specialized containment devices, which look like Pokeballs, into a single massive shining fusion containment sphere. This combined device is strong enough to hold a temporal anomaly. Final positioning. Using your combined speed, you both jet up rapidly to the severely damaged exploding Chronosynth, which is seconds away from breaking free. 2.
Rapidly, sorry.
John's super strength activation. The activation. As John, you stabilize the sphere against the frozen upper body of the Chronosynth. The button is huge, designed for containment of massive entities, but your own super strength allows you to push it down instantly and completely. Effect. The fusion containment sphere activates. A blinding surge of combined technological and metamorphic energy engulfs the Chronosynth's upper body. This energy immediately recognizes and targets the entity's core, the temporal anomaly itself. 3. The containment. Failure of escape. The containment field slams down milliseconds before the self-destruct sequence completes. The small explosion from the lower armor occurs, shattering the ice and vaporizing the shrapnel.
Get him.
The Chronosynth's upper half is already locked down. The capture. The entire entity, the temporal anomaly, and its
Don't want to do
fused
too
armor,
much.
is violently ripped from the ventilation duct and
say
sucked
victory,
inward into
though.
the fusion sphere. The sphere seals with a loud K-chunk, turning opaque white, then settling into a constant, stable, low blue glow. The battle ends. The reactor core is safe, and the temporal anomaly, the Chronosynth, is contained. Aftermath. The area falls silent. The massive, blue-glowing fusion sphere drops from the ceiling and lands safely on the floor, now small enough to be carried. The mission is a complete success, achieved through teamwork, adaptation, and a highly creative final move. Congratulations, bro! You and your team successfully defeated the Chronosynth. That was a great, fast-paced scenario. Would you like me to set up a new challenge for Gwen, Bruno, and John, or is there another question I can help you with?
What was the character he had? The Echo, yeah.
You got it, bro. I'm really glad you enjoyed the character and the scenario. The Chronosynth definitely had its hands full with Gwen, Bruno, and John. Feel free to reach out anytime you need to set up a new challenge, look up facts, or just chat. Have a great night.
Hey, I'm back.
That is a fun idea. Since you were controlling their actions and they are your original characters, I will grade them based on their performance in the Chronosynth battle and their synergy as a team, as evidenced by the moves you chose for them. Here is the full performance review for your
My original characters. Yes.
3 heroes. The Chronosynth battle performance review. 1. Gwen, the magical spy. Criteria. Grade. Notes on performance. Adaptability and quick thinking. A+. Instantly shifting from offense, blinding light, to defense, energy absorption, to counter the feedback, and finally to pure defense, anti-temporal charms, when facing the Nova. Excellent tactical flexibility, utilization of core power. A. Her magic was the primary stabilizer in defense. She provided both magical damage, Firebird, and critical protection, invisible barrier charms, making her the linchpin of the team's survival. Team support. A+. The healing spell was perfectly timed, ensuring the whole team was ready for the final strike instead of being crippled by the temporal nova. Overall battle grade. A+. Gwen's performance was flawless. She protected the team from the enemy's most dangerous attacks and allowed the final capture. 2. John, the high-tech genius. Criteria. Grade. Notes on performance. Tech readiness and defense. A+. The anti-EMP armor was a perfect instantaneous counter to the Chronosynth's attempt to fry his gear. This kept the team's only source of pure high-tech damage in the fight. Offensive contribution. B+.
Okay.
His initial Trapper Blaster strike caused the crucial visor fissure, which destabilized the Chronosynth. His ice breath was key to the coordinated freezing. Synergy and final action. A. His quick integration of his tech with Bruno's device to form the fusion containment sphere was a brilliant, creative move that ended the fight decisively. Overall battle grade. A. Excellent use of high-tech defense and precision offense, culminating in the masterful final capture device. 3. Bruno, the shape-shifting master. Criteria. Grade. Notes on performance. Creative power use. A+. Transforming into the Lightning Bee for speed and the Water Bear for resilience was tactical brilliance. It showed mastery over his power to suit the immediate threat, speed versus gravity. Defensive tactics. A. Using the mirror to deflect the tracking beam was a simple yet highly effective way to negate the enemy's lock-on capability. Offensive contribution. At. His Lightning Bee Blast and subsequent Icy Blast both helped pin and contain the Chronosynth, ensuring it couldn't escape the initial ice trap. Overall battle grade. A. Bruno's ability to instantly adapt his body to counter the enemy's environmental attacks, tracking, gravity, made him an invaluable and unpredictable asset. A. Final team synergy grade, A+.
Let's do it.
Your heroes excelled in the most important areas. Adaptation. They shifted seamlessly from an initial energy ambush to a combined ice-based constraint. Protection. They used their individual strengths, Gwen's charms, John's EMP armor, Bruno's resilience, to negate every major attack. Decisive finish. The fusion containment sphere was a creative and efficient way to end the fight without unnecessary risk. You commanded them expertly.
Alright, hang on. Who was present? Like, you can run up next one. Thanks. You did a great job with telling the fight well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, bro. It was a ton of fun narrating the battle and seeing the creative moves you came up with for Gwen, John, and Bruno. They're a fantastic team. Let me know if you ever want to run another scenario. Until then, have a good one.
I had to go get some L. It got heated. I left to go get some L. I went to the gas station.
Ain't that a preference? Did you say you gonna do this wrong and go to the grocery shop? No, boy. I ain't never left you with both of them here by yourself. Now, you gonna leave me here with 2 kids? She like 5 kids. You know what? And then I'm just talking about you. Oh, no.
I ain't doing that. This ain't even a young league type situation.
Okay.
You don't need to call.
They don't know how Goku. I'm gonna see how Goku. I want to know how Goku is.
That's a fun switch back to one of the most famous characters in anime. Goku's age is a bit tricky because he ages differently than a human, and the Dragon Ball timeline often jumps years at a time. However, based on the canonical timeline of the main events of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, we can calculate his age. Goku's age in the Dragon Ball timeline. Goku was born in the year age 737, according to the Dragon Ball calendar. Event. Dragon Ball year age. Goku's physical age. Notes. Start of Dragon Ball. Kid Goku. Age 749. 12 years old. He thought he was younger at the very beginning. Start of Dragon Ball Z. Raditz Saga. Age 761. 24 years old. Death in Raditz Saga. Age 761. 24 years old. Spends 1 year training in the afterlife. Arrival of the Androids/Cell games. Age 767. 30 years old. Spends 7 years dead after the Cell games. Boo Saga/Final Battle. Age 774.
37 years
37
old.
years old. Start of Dragon Ball Super. Age 778. 41 years old. The time frame between Boo and Super. Tournament of Power. Approximate.
So
Age 780.
So he'd be like, he could be 12. So he's probably 43 years old.
43 years old. A major turning point in Super. The time gap complication. The most confusing part is his time spent dead or training. Training with King Kai after death. 1 year in the afterlife. No physical aging. Training in the hyperbolic time chamber. HBHROSAT. He spends nearly 3 years total across the different sagas inside the chamber, where 1 day outside equals 1 year inside. After Cell's defeat, dead. 7 years in the afterlife. No physical aging. In the Dragon Ball Super era, where he is fighting new gods and universes, Goku is generally accepted to be in his early to mid-40s, around 41 to 43 years old, physically.
Physically, but not age-wise. Oh, crap. How old is... I forgot how old he is, really.
The American rapper known as Blueface, whose birth name is Jonathan Jamal Porter, was born on January 20th, 1997. Since today is November 18th, 2025, he is currently 28 years old. He will turn 29 in January 2026.
January 20th of 2026, he'd be 29 years old. Right now, he's 28 years old. He's still older than Ellen Chapo, who's like, 22 years old? Yeah. But, Speed's birthday is January 21st, right? Yeah. That's a random question, but...
That's a fun question, but popular for a number can mean a lot of things. It depends heavily on the context. Here is a breakdown of why each number might be considered more popular in different areas. Number, why it is popular, context. Key associations. 12. Time, culture, and systematics. This number is fundamental to many systems we use every day, making it arguably more frequently used. Time. 12 months in a year, 12 hours on a clock face. Counting. A dozen, 12 items, is a very common measure. Zodiac. 12 signs of the zodiac. Religion. 12 apostles, 12 tribes of Israel. Sports. Often a legendary retired jersey number, e.g. Tom Brady. 44. Sports, politics, and specific references. This number gains popularity through its attachment to specific, highly famous figures. U.S. politics. The number of a globally famous former U.S. President, Barack Obama. Sports. Famous jersey numbers in baseball, Reggie Jackson. Basketball, Jerry West, and football. Culture. The international dialing code for the United Kingdom. Conclusion. If popular means more frequently used in common daily life measurement and cultural systems, then 12 is likely the more popular number. If popular means associated with more specific, globally recognizable famous individuals, then 44 might be considered more popular due to the number's ties to key historical and cultural figures.
All right. Have a good day, y'all. See y'all.